All right, well, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for being here today. We've got a really fun product to show you today. I'm Marilyn Wilson from RE Technology. Some of you might know me from Wave Group as well. And I'm here joined by Franklin Stoffer. He is from Delta Media Group, and we're going to learn all about a product that they have launched recently with a few associations and MLSs called local showings. So for any of you that are watching this, I would guess I don't have to fill you in that we've had a lot of interesting competitive movement recently in this space. There's been a lot of exciting innovation entering here, which is great. Franklin and Delta have done some really interesting things. As some of you may know, they are a company that has a long history of a privately owned company that's worked for many brokerage organizations with marketing solutions and web and technology solutions. So they're taking all of that data and technology and making it work in a whole new way. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Franklin, and please feel free to ask questions in the chat. And I will make sure that we get Delta and or Franklin to answer those for us. So with that, go ahead, Franklin. Thank you so much. Good to be here.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for the introduction. My name is Franklin Stoffer. I'm the Vice President of Sales here at Delta Media Group. I've been with our company for just about 7 years now. And it's been really exciting for us at Delta to be able to come together and bring to market a product that is in the showing sector. So we've been around in the real estate technology world for many, many years. We actually got started back in 1994 when we launched one of the very first websites in the country that was powered by MLS data and photos. So we've got a quarter of a century worth of experience under our belt as it relates to working directly with MLS organizations, as well as aggregating data inside of our systems and servicing real estate brokerages and the real estate industry as a whole. And we noticed a need in the marketplace back in February when there was an announcement that one of the most popular showing solutions in the marketplace was being acquired by Zillow. We decided that day that we were going to take our established technology product, the DeltaNet, and repurpose it into an offering that we could bring to market very quickly to give the real estate industry something that they felt good about using. And really for us, what that meant was taking 25 years worth of experience in a technology stack that we've invested over $35 million into research and development in over the last 20 plus years, and creating a very easy to use, sleek product that any realtor, any sales professional would be able to pick up and use to help manage their showings more efficiently and even easier to understand and use than other showing solutions in the marketplace. And so just to kind of drive this point home before we dig into more of the local showing specific information we're going to cover today, I did just want to reiterate that Delta Media Group has been working with hundreds of brokerages, tens of thousands of agents, and hundreds of MLSs across the country because we have great IDX data. It's the backbone of our business and it fuels everything we do. And so we actually brought to market a tool in local showings that is turnkey. We already have the data in our databases. We're already working with and aggregating over 96% of the MLS data in the country. And so we decided it was all about three core philosophies as we decided to build local showings, which was we wanted to leverage our independence in the industry. We are one of the very few large technology organizations with zero venture capital funding, no Wall Street investments at all in our organization. We are 100% owned and operated by our CEO, Michael Minard, who was actually pictured on the previous slide. And Mike actually has us put in writing in all of our contracts that what we call our no sell guarantee, which is kind of the safety net for both MLS organizations and real estate firms looking to use our products, that they're not going to need to go through this song and dance again of looking for another solution anytime in the foreseeable future. So number one, we wanted to leverage our independence in a positive way that the real estate industry could feel good about. When you work with Delta, you know who you're working with, and we aren't going to be changing our direction anytime soon. We're not looking to raise funding. We're not looking to get those investments. We have been profitable every year of our business and are continuing to grow organically, and we're having fun while doing it. So our CEO is comfortable putting in those no sell guarantees in writing in our agreements. Number two, we wanted to make a frictionless transition for any organization looking to make a move from their current showing product to something new. And for us, that meant that we didn't want the realtors actually using their showing solutions today to have to lose any functionality when they made a pivot, when they made a switch to a new technology. It needed to do all of the same things that they were already used to doing, but even easier, because we don't want this to be a lateral move. We want them to feel like they're getting an even better product than they were already familiar with. And number three, and perhaps most importantly, is we didn't want it to be cost prohibitive for companies to look at making a switch, which for us meant we weren't looking at this as an opportunity to come in and upsell the marketplace, because there was, especially earlier in the year, a huge emotional charge to, we need to find something different right now. And there was a lot of a visceral reaction to that acquisition news. But Delta never looked at that once as an opportunity. Hey, let's come in and upsell and try to make a whole bunch of money here because we think that the market is fired up. We wanted to look at this and say, look, we've been in this industry ourselves for 27 years. We want to give back to the industry and give them a better solution at the same price or even at a better value than other alternatives on the marketplace. So it was kind of these three philosophies in mind that led to us developing local showings.
Franklin, I want to stop you there for just 1 second.
Sure.
What feedback are you getting on that? I mean, I hear a lot of stuff from MLSs, and we're seeing things like the Remind acquisition and lots of different places MLSs are partnering together to sort of bring back, I hate the word control, but bring back influence to their own organizations, and without the fear that it may go somewhere else and that the dynamics may change. Are you getting good feedback on what you just outlined?
Absolutely. And I'll tell you, some of the earliest adopters of local showings actually had long conversations with us as it related to what is the actual legal verbiage on that no sell guarantee. Because it's not simply a promise. They want to know what is our safety net, us as in the actual client using this product. Are there protections for us? Is it just lip service? And no, there is actual teeth to that guarantee that really is showing to them that they feel good. They know the partnership they have with Delta. And I'd actually like to take this as an opportunity just to share that we're not looking at our relationships with local showings as, hey, we're the vendor, you're the client. Just as we do with our DeltaNet product, we have always looked at every relationship as a partnership where our partners are directly driving the technology that we're building because we're building it for them. Our independence comes into play not just as, hey, we're not beholden to Wall Street, we're not going to sell, but also the only way we're able to grow is by delivering excellent service to our partners. And they're only going to get that if we're listening to their feedback and building the product that their members or their agents and their brokerage organizations want to use. So really the partnership and the cultural fit has been a huge piece of the conversation. It's not all about the tech. It's also about the company and the cultural fit.
And there's,
so that is
like, they can call you, they can call Mike, the CEO and owner. That's a different dynamic than public companies where the products here and the CEOs somewhere else, right? Working on many different things. So it's very interesting that I'm glad to hear people appreciate that, because I do think it is one of the things about Delta. We've worked with Delta, not we personally, but some of our clients have worked with Delta on the brokerage front because they've been doing that for a long time. And we hear very much that feedback that this group listens and responds and really does want to make the technology, I don't want to say our own, but make it work for our local, in their case, agents, but in this case, members or just subscribers. So it's pretty neat. Anyway, go ahead.
Yes, absolutely. And so that ultimately led to us creating local showings. And really what local showings is a standalone application that you can go find in the iOS or Android app stores today, download to your phones, and it's going to help you schedule showings, have automated notifications running to your buyer clients, to your sellers, as well as build dynamic driving tours, and of course, generate and leave feedback, amongst many other things that you'll see in the product walkthrough today. So it is a standalone instance that is a mobile app, but at the same time exists in a one-to-one format on desktop. Or if you just want to go to a mobile website version rather than download an app on your phone, it will work as a web-based software as well. So your desktop, your laptop, your iPad, your phone, it will work seamlessly anywhere on web and as a mobile app. The best part about
a lot of usage on mobile is mobile, I would guess, is a key part of showing.
Absolutely. Far and away, the majority of the usage is coming directly from the cell phone use within the mobile application. And I'll kind of do some of the walkthroughs of the typical live examples of how it's being used. But it is, I would say 75% of the usage is most likely coming from mobile usage. Now, there's a variety of things within local showings that the software itself can do. I'm not going to go through this bulleted list step by step. I'm going to instead show. I'm very much, Marilyn, as you know, a show don't tell kind of person. So we're going to do live walkthroughs of the software demonstrating what it can do. But this slide deck is available for anybody that would like to have it as well and kind of have things in a written format so you don't have to scribble notes as we go. That's why I kind of keep this in here. So
should they put their email address in the chat if they would like you to send it to them? That'd be helpful.
Absolutely. If you're interested in getting the copy of the slide deck, please send us your email.
Just jump in there and we'll grab those for Franklin so he can follow up with you.
Absolutely. So with that being said, we're going to actually jump into the mobile version of local showings first. So we're going to jump into a new share, and please keep in mind, we're going to spend most of the time in the desktop for the purpose of the presentation today. But you will be able to see, as you can see on my screen now, what local showings would look like if I pulled it up on my iPhone 10. So it's branded local showings. I could see information about myself here at the top, followed by my approved showings, anything that's been canceled, anything that's been declined, any pending opportunities that I need to respond to, quick links into my showings, my listings, my contacts, and building driving tours, and an integrated calendar, so that any of the showing activity that you've got inside of your calendar can actually be synchronized to other mail services as well, or other calendar services like your Google account, if you're a Google Workforce user, or if you're an Office 365 user. You can have those calendars synchronized so that your appointments that are scheduled within local showings can also appear on your personal calendar. And all of the features that you want to access through the software are available through the hamburger menu on the left-hand side of the screen. So you simply tap the button, and here it's showing you all the things that I can do within the software. Manage showings, manage my listings, my contacts, driving tour, and help articles. Extremely easy to access and navigate the software from anywhere within it. As we go through the features and I demonstrate different pieces, it's just a lot easier for everybody to see if we're in the desktop version. So this is that same exact interface, simply stretched out on a laptop. I can see all of the same features and functionality are in the exact same place. It's simply taking advantage of the full use of the screen. So we're going to just kind of walk through a couple of different examples of how the software is actually used in practice. And first and foremost, I want to make note, and I think this is critical as it relates to the agents using local showings, is we are already integrated at Delta. We are already working with all of the major vendors in the marketplace, be that Matrix, Flex, Black Knight, Navica, Rapatoni. There's all of these major vendors we are already working with and have been working with for decades. So as we install new installations of local showings at an MLS or even at a brokerage level, we're able to work directly with those vendors so that the little schedule showing icon that you typically would see when you're doing a property search in the MLS, that you can still seamlessly schedule your showings there as you have with other showing solutions in the past. However, there is a way to search for and schedule showings directly inside of local showings as well. So you could do it either through the MLS, as you always have, including the ability to bulk schedule showings, which we'll demonstrate, or I could do it directly through the software, which I'm going to demonstrate here today. So this is all being powered in this demonstration. I'm using an agent, Amanda Neville, who is a licensed realtor with Old Colony Realtors out of Charleston, West Virginia. And all of the data you're seeing inside of this demonstration today is live data coming directly from the Kanawha Valley MLS. And so inside of this MLS, I can search real-time listing data. Side note, Delta is one of the fastest aggregators of listing data in the country. We are typically updating our MLS data incrementally every 60 seconds to 5 minutes. So within minutes of a listing being entered at the MLS, it's available within your local showings environment here. So there's not ever a big delay on data popping.
That's basically, you're populating it as quickly as third parties are now. Because we've heard sometimes where MLSs were 15 minutes and others were 2 or 3, and things were appearing somewhere else before they're appearing here, but that's not the case with you.
Absolutely not the case with us. We are getting this data before virtually any other provider. We are faster than Redfin and faster than Compass and any market where we compete directly. So yeah, it's huge, a huge critical part of our business.
Awesome.
So let's say we're doing a search here. We want to schedule a showing on just one property. It is easy enough. I can see all the listings populating, and I can simply click the new showing button, which is going to open up a page, which is the same page you'd see if you clicked on the schedule showing button from the MLS. where I get an overview of the property that I've just said that I would like to show. So I can see the photos of this property, MLS number, beds, baths, square footage. And then I see an availability calendar of what are the dates and times that are available for me to schedule a showing on this listing. So I could see right now there's quite a bit of availability here on this property, 2388 Creston Road. So if I want to show this at noon on Saturday, I simply tap on the spot on the calendar. I'd like to book a time. And it opens up a page where I can confirm my showing request. So here's the date, November 6th. The time I selected was noon. If I'd like to block it out for 30 minutes, I can select 30 minutes. If I think I need a 60-minute block, I have the option of selecting what's available on a per listing basis. If I want to tie this to one of my buyers that is a contact within local showings, so they automatically get notifications about the appointment and reminders, I can simply type in the name of the person that I'd like to show this property to. In this example, we'll use Anthony. There's multiple showing types, of course. So I could say, hey, this is a showing, inspection, photography, second show, third show. I can designate what showing type is this, followed by my contact information, which has automatically been populated. And if I go ahead and hit save, it's going to automatically send a request for this appointment. So once I hit save.
A real quick question for you on that. The contact, the agent's contacts, how do they get populated? Do they come in from the MLS prospecting tools, or do they add them separately, or how does that work?
So there's multiple ways that we can get contacts inside of this system. And I'll walk you through some of those once we get to the contact step. But some MLS vendors have given us the ability to actually import contacts directly from the MLS. So that is one of the methods, depending on, so, for example, I believe Flex and Black Knight have both given us the ability to pull in contacts directly into our system. Others like Matrix aren't as flexible with their contact sharing. So it just kind of depends on who your vendor is. Otherwise, you could import a database file of contacts. You could manually add them one by one. And there's even some functionality tied into the platform where I could be synchronizing my Google or Outlook contacts directly into the showing software. So we have multiple methods of easily getting contacts inside of local showings.
Perfect. Okay.
So once I have submitted a request to show the property, since I'm the one that made the request, I have the ability to cancel this appointment. If I decided, you know what, they ended up not wanting to see this property after all, I could come in and cancel the appointment, and it's going to require me to give a reason for canceling. So I can't just cancel and not provide a reason. But also, because I have submitted an appointment request, I can also live chat directly with the listing agent. So if I had a further question or something that maybe wasn't clarified when I made the request, I could quickly ask them a question through this live chat box, and they're going to get a notification directly on their phone that there's a chat request on a listing, so they can respond and you can have a dialogue about a property, which is stored on this appointment. So if you ever needed to come back in the future to reference something that was said, you'll have that log. So going back, let's say I wanted to show multiple properties at the same time. So I'm looking for listings. I have a buyer that's looking for something pretty high end. So we're going to look at some of these listings here that are in the $1.5 to $2 million range. And I can simply click the add to queue button. And by adding it to queue, it's similar to functionality where you might think of adding something to a shopping cart, where you're simply clicking the add to queue button, and that's added a showing queue option. If I'd like to show all of these properties, I simply click showing queue. And now I can make multiple appointments at the same time. So my calendar is populating on the right-hand side of the page. I can see all the appointments that I've already got scheduled for Saturday. That's a pretty booked day. So we're going to see if there's any availability on these listings on Friday. And maybe I'm showing all of these to one of my contacts, Charles. Now beneath that, I can see I'm scheduling an appointment for Charles. I'm looking at available times on Friday. And here are the 4 listings that I've selected that I'd like to show. Now, for anybody that's ever reserved a table at a restaurant through a service like OpenTable, this is going to be very familiar, where what we're doing is only the available times to show these properties will populate in these options. So if, for example, 15018 Kanawha Valley Road was not available for showing, there was no available time slots on this day, it would actually not have any time populated here. It would just be grayed out. And I could say, oh, there's no times to show it. Hit the trash can icon will remove that property. I can't show it on Friday. But maybe our other listings we can. So you click on the drop down and it's going to show you the available times that are open to show this property. So on Friday, I can see there's an opening here at noon. So we're going to grab that for 30 minutes. On this listing, we've got an opening at 1:30. So we'll grab that for 30 minutes. And then on the final listing here, maybe we want an opening at 2:30 and we'll need 30 minutes for that. So I can see the listings here are populated. And if I wanted to get a preview of where these properties are, I can click that preview button and it's going to show me where on the map all of these properties reside. So I could build a dynamic driving tour from these properties, which we'll demonstrate here in just a few minutes. So this is where I could come through and easily schedule multiple appointments at the same time for a customer. And if I hit this submit button, what that's going to do is automatically send a text message request. It's going to send automatically an email or a push notification through the mobile app based on the listing agent's preferences. It's going to send those appointment requests to all of those listing agents. And if they've opted in, their sellers could be getting those notifications as well. So the seller can also be approving or declining appointments. I would also be remiss if I didn't mention you as the listing agent can tag a property as a show and go. So you don't need to have an upfront appointment for that particular listing. You can just say it's open for showing. You still have to make the request, but it can automatically accept it and it'll have a log of everybody that's been approved to show the property.
One other quick question for you too, Franklin. I like that controllability of the time frame. Does the listing agent have any control over that? If they know they've got a super hot property and on Saturdays it's going to be just a million people coming through, they can say you can't get any more than 15 minutes? Or is that controllable on both sides? Or is it just based on the person that wants to schedule the showing?
It is completely controllable by the listing agent. So we'll actually go straight into the listings tab, because if I, as a listing agent, want to modify how that property is going to be available for showing, I can simply see Amanda Neville right now has 2 active listings at the MLS. So we're going to look at this listing 111 Oakmont Road. And if I click on the settings of this property, here is where I, as the agent, can set the availability of the listing. So on the left-hand side, you're actually seeing, this is just a grid, easy to understand grid. And if I said on Sundays, the sellers don't want anybody in the house after 1. I could lock down the time slots. It's not available at all after that time. But maybe on Friday and Saturday, they're okay with showings running as late as 9 p.m. So we'll go ahead and extend the showing hours on those 2 days. And I can see now this property will only be available for showing during these particular time slots. And one of the settings that I can have as a listing agent is 15-minute appointments only, or half-hour appointments, or up to an hour, and you can block out in 15-minute intervals. I can determine that based off of the availability chart here. Something else I can also do is have special overrides. So I could say, for example, we're going to use this listing and say, we know that there's going to be inspections happening and we don't want any showings on a particular weekend. So I could say inspections, it is not available for showing, and we're just going to lock out this Saturday and Sunday, and it's just not going to be available those days. So it will actually override my availability calendar that I might have set as my default, because we know there's going to be a window of time it's just not available for showing. In that same vein, I could also tag a listing as being eligible for double booking appointments. And this actually starts to get into an area where the MLS, or at the administrative side, can determine how they want the rules to work in their jurisdiction. So in some markets, we've got MLS boards that are totally fine with the brokerages or the agents determining, hey, we want double bookings all day long. It's a hot market. We want as many people to see it as possible. In some of the more major metro areas, they said, hey, double booking is not allowed. We don't want our agents to see that option at all. Because of COVID regulations, they only want 1 family or 2 people in the house at a time. So we can actually have some toggles in place where, based off of your board's preferences, we can handle double bookings. We can handle special overrides. We can handle coming soons and how those are handled. Those are all variables that we can control based off your preferences. So just know kind of what you're seeing here is more of an out of the box offering, but everything within the software is modifiable based on your unique needs. Additionally, here, you've got a shareable link. So this is something that many brokerages that are interested in local showings will use, where if maybe their association hasn't bought in and it's not used by all in a marketplace, but you've got a brokerage that really likes this, they want to take advantage of it, they can get a link that can then be plugged in at MLS comments or in showing instructions at the MLS as they're entering their listing there. This link is a standalone web page that'll essentially give all of the details of the property, images of the property, and that same contact form where here I can see the availability calendar of this property to show it. So if I wanted to share this link on my socials, or if I wanted to plug it in at the MLS level, say, hey, please feel free to come here and book an appointment to show the property, I can simply enter my information. So I clicked on a time slot. It asked me to fill in these details. This is going to send that showing request directly to the listing agent through local showings. So we actually do have a static standalone page that can be used. It's hosted on local showings. So that way, even a brokerage that wants to use this system, even if their MLS is not going to use it for all, they could still support it. So you'll have a shareable link that can be used there.
So if local showings, let's say I'm a broker and I work in 3 different markets, and one of them has local showings and the other 2 doesn't, can I still schedule showings in markets that are not part of this?
You absolutely, yes, you absolutely could. And this is one of the ways that you can accomplish that, is by having the shareable link that anybody that has that link can come in and they can make that request, and then you'll get them inside of your local showings application, so be able to see that data. So yes.
Awesome. That's great.
Of course, you'll have showing instructions that can be placed here. So if you wanted to have, lockbox combination, or the instructions that are going to be displayed to somebody that's approved to show the property, you would plug that in here to these showing comments. And we do also have the ability for things like, hey, automatically show those showing instructions as soon as the agent is approved to show the property, or only show the showing instructions 30 minutes prior to the appointment. So we can even make some of this stuff time sensitive based off of your preferences. You've also got the ability to send a mass notice to everybody scheduled to show the property. So let's say we've got 30 showing appointments booked, but the seller has accepted an offer. I could send out a mass notice to everybody that's already scheduled to see it. And if I wanted, I could even bulk cancel all of those appointments. So it'll give them all a reason for why it was canceled. This also can work the other direction. So not only can I send out a mass notice for people scheduled to show it, let's say this property has a new price, I can have it set up to automatically notify everybody that's already seen it, there's a new price on this property. Maybe you want to show it again. And then finally, there is, of course, a strong feedback component of local showings. So on every particular listing I might have some default questions that are asked, but I can build in for a particular listing other unique questions like, was there anything about this property that you thought may need work? And I can have that be just an open text box. So after somebody's gotten to the end of their showing appointment, it's going to prompt the showing agent to leave feedback about what the potential buyer thought, and they can answer some of these survey questions. And maybe I want to add another question that was, what did you think of the landscaping of this property? And for this, we want it to be a multiple choice question where they only have a few things that they can select. So we could say, we loved it. Maybe we want to have an option for hated it. Maybe we want to have an option for indifferent or neutral. And I can add those. These are my 3 options. And what you'll see with a lot of local showings functionality is it's all really easy to use. It's drag and drop. I can reorder the questions. I can reorder the answers. I can even do the same thing here where I can see all the questions that are going to be asked. I can just drag and drop and reorganize the order that these are going to be asked. You can make some of them mandatory questions or skippable. And any feedback you collect through the survey functionality is stored right on the listing. So I can easily see what all the feedback totals are. So for example, if we've shown this 30 times and you've got 30 people, 30 for 30 that saw it said, hey, this property needs some work, maybe we need to have a conversation with the seller. All the feedback is kind of saying this. This feedback
questions are built by the agent or the MLS or both?
It could be both. So they can set what the default questions are. The agents can add their own questions. And even if the MLS didn't want the agents to add questions, we could lock that functionality down as well and say, hey, it's same questions across the board. We don't want any different questions asked because we're worried about potential legal ramifications, for example.
Got it.
So very much the name of the game with any of Delta's products is you're not getting something off the shelf with us. We are a custom builder. So we do have the ability to tweak and make preference changes to any of the elements within the system. We're a rapid development builder. That's one of the things we've gotten very good at over the years. So let's go back and look a little bit at the interface for what does it look like as a showing agent. So I've got buyers and I want to get an overview of what's the showing activity actually happening. So you may have noticed on all the different pages of the software that we're going through, I always have these boxes at the top of the page for approved, canceled, declined, and pending. And so if I want to quickly look at, there's 3 pending requests, I can just tap that pending button and it's going to take me to my showings page where I could see, hey, there's actually one pending request on my listing. So if I wanted to approve or decline that, I can simply tap on that property. Here I could see the request that was made. So here's the agent that's sending the request, Amanda Neville. I could see the contact information. I could accept or decline a request on my property. So if I decline it, I have to give a reason for declining. Just like if I was on the other side and I was canceling an appointment, in this instance, I need to give a reason to the agent on why I'm declining their showing request. If I just want to accept it, I simply hit the accept button, and it's now going to approve that appointment for the person that submitted the showing. If I wanted to see requests that I've made, it clearly segments everything within the software. So here's requests on my listings. Here are the requests that I've made. If we go to that pending tab again, here's requests on my listing that are pending response. Here are requests I've made that are pending response. So I can operate both as the listing agent and a buyer's agent clearly within the same software. And I have a calendar here at the bottom that's showing me all of the activity that's happening on these properties. So you can clearly.
Is it going to send me notifications so I don't miss a showing opportunity on either side?
Yes, there is.
Gotcha.
Yes, strong notification settings. So I can set up preferences as the agent. I want all types of notifications. I'm super busy. It's easy to miss things. I want an email. I want a text message. I want a push notification when a request comes through. If a request is pending for 12 hours, I want to send a request. If I'm an hour before an appointment, I want to get all those requests. So yes, there's a strong notification channel built into the backbone of local showings.
And can I send it to my admin or someone else in the office if I'm out, or I just want to have a backup plan in case I'm busy?
Yes, you can absolutely have backup agents. You can have assistants that can have access to get into the local showing software and see. Yes, absolutely.
Awesome. Okay.
So kind of down that same vein, if I'm an active agent with listings and I'm also showing properties, I have a clear dashboard that's showing me all of my listings, and I can quickly see, hey, there's 3 pending appointments on 1114 Oakmont. We've had 10 approved showings, 3 were declined, we had 3 canceled, and I can get an overview of the feedback of all the people that have shown this property. So I can quickly come into any of these appointments and I can see the date that it was shown, and I can view specific feedback left on that property. So I've got the ability as the listing agent to see a lot of data as it relates to my property. But also,
can I export that data if I want to show it to my client? Or is it I just
absolutely
steal your
no,
necessary?
it's all it is exportable. And then we've also got all of the listings that I'm showing. So if I'm a really active buyer's agent and I'm showing a lot of listings in the area, I could see an overview of all the listings I've shown over the last 30 days. So here I could see 44 Corey Ridge. If I tap on it, I've shown this property 6 times and I can see the date that I last showed it. And I can quickly just schedule a new showing from this house right from this interface. So let's say there's a new listing that hit the market. It's really hot. You've got several buyers that might be interested. I can come back to a property through this dashboard and quickly reschedule a showing on that appointment, and even see notes that I've left from the previous times that I've shown it. So if I've already shown a property and maybe I made a note, hey, make sure the next time I show this to point out there's cracks in the foundation, or I notice there's an issue with the roof. I can make a note, and before I show it to the next person, it'll give me a pop-up of here's your notes from the last time you showed the property. Just another thing to make it easier for those agents that are re-showing the same listing several times. So again, I've got a history of all the listings that I've shown recently, and I can see feedback that I've left on it before, notes, and more. Next, we get into the contacts. So within contacts, as I mentioned earlier, there's several different ways you can get customers into the system. You could manually add them. So I could just say, hey, I want to add a new contact. They've got a new buyer that I'm representing. I want to make sure they're getting these notifications. So I fill in their information here, saving close, and they're going to get added. I could also, if I was working in an MLS that supported the contact import, you would just have another button here that said import contacts, and it's going to pull in everything that you've got entered at the MLS and populate it within this system. And I then will have a list of customers that are tagged as sellers or buyers. And the main difference between these tags is just the notifications that are going to be running to those clients. So here I've got Charles as a buyer contact in my system. And if I click on his profile, I can see what is the cell phone number I've got tied to him, because he could be getting text message notifications and reminders for appointments. What's the email that's getting those reminders? What are notes that I've added to this customer? So maybe he made a comment at one of the showings and want to add a note as a reminder. So in this instance, Charles said he needs to have a 2-car attached garage. So I know as I'm scheduling appointments. I've got to have that, or he's not going to like the property. And then I've got a history of all of the showing activity that Charles has had before. So since he's been an active buyer with me, I can see all the appointments that he's had. I can see any that were canceled, any pending requests that are still waiting on him. So I've got an overview of all of Charles' activity here. On the flip side, I can also see active sellers. So if I've got a seller within the system, it's going to work very similarly. So here, Caleb has a listing that's active with me. So he is tagged as a seller. So again, here's his contact information. He's opted in to get notifications. I can add notes to his account, and I can see any showing activity that's happened on his listing, which is 4 Quarry Ridge. So there's only been one approved appointment on his property. So I can clearly delineate and see my buyers and sellers based off their tags. They could both be getting sets of notifications, and I could be adding notes to any type of their accounts. And the final part of our system here is our driving tours. So if I come into local showings, I have the ability to create a driving tour. So here, maybe I want to make a tour for Charles. So I've typed in Charles' name, and we've got multiple properties that we're scheduled to show to Charles. So I could see it's automatically populated here with all the showing appointments that he had built in, and I could set a starting address. So maybe we want to use one of Old Colony's offices as the starting address for this appointment. So what I'm going to do is actually go to Old Colony's website here, and we're going to pull just one of their office addresses down here in the Charleston region. So here's one of their offices. So I'm going to plug that in as a starting address. So this is Old Colony's Charleston office. I plug that in. We're going to start our driving tour at noon that day. So here it's showing me the exact directions we're going to take to show the properties that we've got on our list. So we've got an appointment here. We're going to decide we've got a 12 to 12:30, a 1 to 1:30. Maybe I wanted to add another stop to the tour. So if I want to add a stop, I simply click add to tour. And it's going to show me all of the appointments that he's got approved that maybe we want to add this 2388 to his tour as well. So now I've added another appointment, but I could see this was actually also double scheduled at the same time. So we could decide, hey, we're going to remove this from the tour. There's no way we can make that work. That's why it didn't build into the tour to begin with. But maybe we want to do, hey, there's a 12 to 12:30, a 1 to 1:30. After that second showing, let's stop and get lunch somewhere. So maybe we're going to stop at Panera Bread and we're going to get lunch, and we're going to block out 60 minutes so we can debrief on, hey, what did you think of the 2 properties you saw? Let's add that into our driving tour. And again, I can drag and drop and reorganize where that's going to fit into our tour. So you can see here, after they show their 2 properties in Charleston, they're going to drive all the way up to North Canton to have lunch at Panera Bread. So you can see these are the multiple stops in the tour. It generates driving directions. So you've got your old school MapQuest step-by-step directions. How long is it going to take for you to get to each one of these locations in the tour? And I can easily share this directly with my seller. So I could build this tour for myself. I can use it for me. And I can also say, hey, let's go ahead and share this tour with the seller so they can follow along and drive with me as we go to these different appointments. They've got the same instructions I do. So once you've got those tours, they can be saved. So you'll see now I've got a tour for Charles that's built. It's going to be on Saturday, November 6th. I can come back and easily reuse this tour. And that automatically built the best tour possible for Charles based on the showing appointments he had scheduled that day. If I wanted to manually build a tour, I simply click on the new tour button and I could see, do I have any appointments scheduled for the 6th? It says I have 4 showings on this date. So now I can go through and I can step-by-step build this tour. So we're going to see all the appointments that I've got scheduled that day. I can build a completely different tour based off of my own custom step-by-step building of this tour. So maybe we're going to make a stop at the Delta Media Group office as part of this driving tour as well. Hit save changes. And I can see now it's built a dynamic driving tour based off of that route.
So Franklin, if I'm mid-tour, let's say I'm at Oakmont Road in Charleston, and I'm about to go to the next one, and something gets messed up. The 15-minute actually became a 45-minute, or Sunset Strip Avenue decided that you guys live on the Sunset Strip in Delta. That's pretty nice. The Sunset Strip person says, "Hey, my daughter's sick. You can't come," or whatever. How do you, in real time, how do you adjust all this stuff? Because I guess that happens.
Yeah.
A lot.
So if
reality sets in sometimes when you're on a tour.
Yes, absolutely. So if I needed to come in and make a change to the tour, I can quickly come back into my driving tour through local showings. I can pull out the app and I can just say, hey, you know what? We're not going to be able to make that tour, so we can delete it. Or one of the things, you're not seeing it in this production environment today, but it's a request that's coming
Mhm.
very soon, is I
Mhm.
would be able to have an edit request button right here within the driving tour to say, hey,
Okay.
can we push this back an hour? Is there an available
Got
time
it.
for me to
Yeah.
push it back?
Okay, cool.
And then again, you'll see this is all Google Maps updated real time on that change. So then finally, we've got our general help articles. So this actually is going to tie into some of the last things we're going to talk about within the keynote. This is built-in help articles, that's step-by-step instructions. You've got the ability of calling into our technical support team. We've got representatives that can take live chats for administrators and more. So the support is bundled in to local showings. It's not like you pay for extra support. And we're going to actually talk a little bit about some of that the differences of working with Delta compared to some other providers as we start to wrap up within our keynote here. So we're going to jump back in. And first and foremost, you'll hear me talk about this both for our call center and for our technical support. Delta does not outsource anything that we do. We are almost 100% exclusively based in Northeast Ohio. Our headquarters is about an hour south of Cleveland, Ohio. And so we've got an in-house call center that is also offered alongside our local showings product. And so the call center is something that we've actually had at Delta for a while, for about a year, even predating us deciding to do local showings. We had built an in-house call center to help us with some of our sales prospecting. And that call center was pivoted earlier this year when we decided to do local showings to also have inbound phone call support, being able to schedule showing appointments where we can take in a phone call, we can make outbound phone calls, we can log it directly within the local showing software, send all the notifications to the appropriate parties. So there is an optional call center that you can buy into either at an association level, or if you're a brokerage that's looking for it just for your listings, we do have support for that. And the cost is just an optional expense for the call center. It's the only other price that you may have with local showings. So the software for the application is cost per user per month, which we'll talk about pricing here at the end. But the cost for the call center is typically what's the total number of listings that you maintain? How many listings are active at the MLS level on average? How many are active in your company on average? And that can factor into the price, because we just know, I think it's something like the average listing has somewhere in the realm of 55 showings in its lifespan. So kind of our call center costs are dictated by the listings. But it is an optional add-on, and it is not an overseas call center. It is also located in Northeast Ohio. And we also have an in-house technical support team in Northeast Ohio that is available to help you through the migration process. One of the things that I had mentioned at the beginning of this call was how turnkey it is to move to local showings, because the good news is we already have all of the data. We have 96% of all the active listing data in the country. And for the vast majority of the MLS that we're pulling in data from, we also are getting a feed of their agent data, their roster information. So as one example, an implementation we've got going live with local showings is in the Grand Junction Area Association of Realtors, as well as the Space Coast Association of Realtors out of Jacksonville, Florida. So both of those examples, we had already worked with those associations. We already had all of their active listing data with real-time updating feeds and all of their agent roster data. So when both of them said, hey, we want to do this, let's get live with local showings, we had the application built in their hands and ready to test within a business week. Within 5 business days, they had in their hands the application with real-time data, with updated agent information, and everything was done on our end. All we had to do at that point was trainings and help them in the migration process, as most of the larger associations want to have, anywhere from a month to 2 to 3 months of, hey, let's run our current showing system with local showings active at the same time, so the agents have time to get acclimated and moved over. But we make it very easy, very turnkey. We already have the relationships and the partnerships, so it is not a painful process to make a move to local showings.
Let me ask you a question about migration, or I don't know if it's migration, but we're hearing a lot from some MLSs that they're thinking about not necessarily moving away from one provider to another, but offering potentially the concept of choice, right? So one brokerage may say, I want to use vendor X, another may use local showings, maybe another would use a third, I don't know. But can you talk to us about how that might work? If someone said, or some people just have contractual obligations, right? They're a year and a half into a 3-year contract. They don't want to walk away from that. How would that work? If an MLS said, I'd like to offer more than one option, how does that work?
Great question. So Delta has always believed in the mentality of playing nice with others. So everything that we've built at our company from a tech standpoint is open API, open architecture. We are more than happy to integrate with any other third-party services that you may be interested in sharing data with. So as one example, and you're 100% right, there was recently a tech committee that got together, I believe spearheaded by Bright MLS and California Regional MLS, where they did a week-long hackathon because they're looking at building a framework to allow showing solutions to integrate to share data amongst other providers. So you don't have to be one or done, one or nothing. You might have 10 showing solutions that are all viable in the same market. And Delta absolutely supports that model. And we have already committed with our showing product, Local Showings. We have a dedicated showing API that can share that data out to a central service. So even if you've got other brokerages in your marketplace that aren't using Local Showings, we can send that data to those other third parties and we can pull it in ourselves. My only note of caution that I would add on that is just because Delta plays nice with others doesn't mean others will play nice with Delta. You've always got some vendors that aren't going to be willing to integrate or share data. So I can't say everything will talk nice, but most companies will. Most of those products will be able to communicate pretty easily.
Well, and just to clarify, because this can be a cold, hard, ugly reality, right? If there are more than one showing solutions in a marketplace and they don't talk to one another, Franklin and I as agents could both schedule something at June 2nd at 10 o'clock. We both show up with our clients, and I don't want to be the MLS that gets that call. It's not going to be fun, right? Or the brokerage for that matter, because this may be a broker decision too. So it's really good to hear that you guys are figuring out ways to make that option happen. Now, let's talk about a couple of other opportunities. So one might be that, okay, we're going to wean people off of our current solution, right? We're not going to just cut them off and upset agents. They got enough to worry about right now. But if someone said there's going to be some overlap between, we're going to ease this one in and we're going to ease the other one out, how does that work?
Yeah, so good question. So if there's going to be an overlap period, Delta has actually been very flexible in the past with that. So what we normally would do is if you want to concurrently run your system, your local showings product alongside your showing system today, especially if you're writing out the end of a contract, we will actually let you run on local showings at no cost to you. So for example, if you want to have a 2-month grace period overlap, we'll give you the first 2 months free, and we'll just add 2 months to the end of your contract. And typically with local showings, you're looking at a 1-year agreement with 1-year renewals. So if you want to have a 2-month grace period up front, well, then you're setting a 14-month contract where the first 2 months are free. If you wanted a 3-month grace period, 15-month contract, first 3 months free. So we allow you to overlap and not feel like you're double paying as you're making a migration to our system.
That's awesome. So that makes it financially a lot easier for people to do that. And going back to the call center, I want to make sure everybody heard you. I know you said it really well, but I'm going to say it just one more time because I've heard this many times. You do have the ability to have live showing appointment scheduling with your call center, right?
Yes. Yes.
It sounded like the way you described it is there may be variable pricing on that based on the number of active listings in that particular month.
Yes, that is correct. So as an example, let's say you have 9,500 listings across the board in your area for the month of June. Your cost per listing may be $5-6 per listing. Well, the next month you might have, now you're averaging 10,000 listings active for that month. Your cost would be perhaps $5 per listing because there's kind of price thresholds based off of the number of listings that you've got active in a given month. So it's a little bit flexible. I'm going to kind of say up front, the pricing is negotiable based off what we need to do to hit your existing budgets. As I said at the beginning, one of our philosophies is we do not want you to feel you're overpaying. So I could tell you, I've seen contracts where the cost per listing is $5 per listing per month, or markets where Showing Time had a contract in place that was a flat rate, fixed pricing, and they don't want a variable price. Well, we're completely open to fixed pricing as well. So it's just kind of a case by case.
Some that bill it at the individual brokerage and or agent level too, right? So I say I want it as an agent, and you're an agent, you say you don't want it. Can you help MLSs when they're trying to deal with some of those billing issues too, if they need your help?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, good. Because that is again, it's not for every MLS, but the ones that have it, at least the ones I've talked to, seem to think I can't live without that. So I might want to move to a new system, but I have to have that live option because
Mhm.
it's just something not all my customers, but some of them are very interested in or used to. Okay, great.
So
Now,
that's going to bring us.
Paul, is there any other scenarios that you might want Franklin to address? I just threw a few that I've heard about, but if there's any others that I haven't asked about, please throw them in the chat and we can get Franklin to answer those too. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Yes. Oh, you're totally fine. Yes, please. Any questions in chat we're going to get to here in just about 2 minutes, because the last thing that I have in the slide is one other differentiator of local showings, which is we built the entire showing solution in the framework of our core product, the DeltaNet. And the DeltaNet is what we've been building here for over 25 years and is our all-in-one enterprise solution that offers brokerages custom websites, SEO, lead gen, all attached to a complete CRM and intranet platform. And anybody that's interested in learning more about that, I've done some great webinars with Marilyn over the years that go into the DeltaNet product. However, what I'd like to show you real time here is that we have an optional marketplace that you can turn on for your agents using our showing product. So if you would like, you can actually have and give your agents, maybe you are a Remax brokerage or you are an association that has a lot of Remaxes. So you've got Bouge implemented in many companies, many agents, but they may not like Bouge or want an alternative to that solution. You've got the ability inside of the local showing system to tie everything together. So if I have just local showings, I only have local showings. I just have the showing solution. However, if I, as an MLS looking to partner with Delta to implement local showing, say, yeah, we'd like to give our agents even more choice, our members more choice. If they want to buy into your other products, we want them to have that option. So if I'm an agent that has purchased all of Delta's other products, it's going to look like this. I'm going to have a dashboard where I've got a sales pipeline with transaction data. I'm going to have a full-fledged CRM with contact management, newsletters. I'm going to have a custom website. I'm going to have automated social media posting. I can manage my open houses in the exact same place where I'm managing all of my showings. And so this is essentially, if you choose to turn on our marketplace, the ability to have local showings, but also all sorts of other bells and whistles for your agents that can allow them to keep everything in the same place, manage their websites, their leads, their open houses, their showings, all in one uniform location. And so this can be turned on. It's optional. If you don't want to have it as an option, you can totally lock it down. Great. Don't worry about any of Delta's other tools. But if you do want to turn that marketplace on, then you're essentially going to be able to give your agents the ability to buy websites, CRM, CMA tools, open house management, and automated listing videos and more. And if that marketplace is turned on, you can either offer it at a small discount, maybe buying it through you is 10%, is 10% cheaper than purchasing it through Delta directly, because we've got a partnership at local showings. Or if you're an association looking for ways to drive new revenue streams to get more products for your members, you could even monetize elements of the Delta products. So our open house app that might retail at $9.99 per month, you guys might put a $12 price tag on it. So every agent that buys it through our marketplace is a $2 rev share back to you. So you could buy more tools and products for your members. So again, the marketplace is totally optional, but because of how we built local showings, we wanted to be able to offer something that's a little bit unique and could be a revenue raking opportunity for the association.
And if the association wants to use like AdWiz or pay-per-click management themselves for their own website or their own third party, if they've got a public facing site or whatever, can they buy that stuff from you as part of their local showings program? Or
yes, absolutely. And for the record, Delta actually has maintained and managed MLS websites for literally decades. So we can absolutely do any of these tools at the MLS level as well.
That's great. So you're a full service provider, Franklin.
Yes, that is the name of the game.
And I do have one other question about contacts that came in. If I have, if my CRM is my center, and I'm sure some DeltaNet customers, it would be their center, and others, of course, there's many CRMs out there. Is there a way for me to export my active contacts from there into local showings?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yep. So there is export contacts and import contacts functionality built in.
Okay. Gotcha. So it really doesn't matter where they're coming from. You can still import them. But the
Yes,
MLS, if the
absolutely.
MLS wants to seamlessly connect the prospecting system in their MLS system, they can do that automatically if they so choose with the, who did you say again? FBS?
We have that integration, yeah, with Black Knight and Flex are the two
Perfect.
that have approved and are either done or in process of finalizing that behavior and functionality.
Awesome. That's great. Okay. Well, this has been awesome. Is anybody that's on the call, if you have any other questions, throw them in the chat there. But here's, if you need more information, deltamediagroup.com or localshowings.com. Sales at Delta Group, I assume, would go to you, Franklin, or to your team.
Yeah, sales at Delta Group will come straight to me, and we do
Okay.
have dedicated staff working for local showings, myself included.
Okay.
So if you have questions, you want pricing, you want to get a direct one-on-one consultation, please reach out to us. Any of the contact forms at deltamediagroup.com, localshowings.com, or sales at Delta Group will get you in touch directly with our team.
And are you going to be at NAR next week if someone wants to meet you there?
Yes, thank you. I'm glad you brought that up as well. It's like, you're doing a really great job at this. Yes, we will have a team at NAR.
Okay.
So if you reach out and you want to have an in-person consultation, our sales manager, Caleb, as well as another one of our software consultants, Stan Galika, will be there. And we're more than happy to set up a consultation and an in-person meeting at NAR.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, and or you can come to the RE Technology Party with us. November
Yes, we will.
11th, 9 o'clock at House of Blues. Tell them you met me or heard about it on the webinar with Delta, and I'll be happy to. I'll be at the door, so I'll let you in. Just make sure you got your vaccination card or your get out of jail in negative tests, and then you can come on in and have fun. All right. Well, thank you so much. This is awesome. I mean, we're in a very exciting time with showings, as anybody that's been on this call knows. We've actually looked at many of the products through RE Technology, and there's some great innovation happening. Local showings certainly being one of them. So thank you so much, Franklin. Everybody have a great day, and hopefully we'll see you, at least some of you, at NAR next week. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.